You know Four Corners? It's that show on the ABC when you walk into the living room and you change the channel and your dad yells, "Hey, change that back!" And, "Oh, what's that? Storage Wars Canada? Ooh, the best one. Yeah, keep it there." And they have every right to be somewhat disinterested. This is supposed to be the best of the best when it comes to Australian journalism. Look at what this show is now. You know that 5 minutes that Channel 7 chucks in a Vox Pop? What do you think about the trains being late? I'd prefer if they weren't late. Okay, this really sucks. Can we get to that Isuzu ad? Yep, we can. All right, get out. That was 2 episodes of Four Corners. Saturday Disney's Chill Chat. Hey kid, and by kid I mean 60-year-olds, what do you think about the Prime Minister and the opposition leader? The point is, we're going to be paying out Australia's view of Scott Morrison because it is in, surprise, surprise, exact alignment with what the propaganda model wanted the Australian public to think. Here it is.
Melbourne! Extra shows added to Friendly Jordies at Taylor's Alders Road. Tonight, Saturday, we're so mad we're even doing Easter Monday. Be there. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the video.
I'll give you this though, it is heartening to see that when the average Australian sees Scott Morrison, not with all the glitz and glamour of the camera, right? Just an ape looking at another ape. When they see him in his natural environment, i.e. Harvey Norman at 11 o'clock, they think, bit of a shit.
Sometime in the next few months, voters like these will decide Scott Morrison's fate.
Ah yes, that elusive voter demographic, keyboard teachers. How much do you think that man knows about Casio keyboards? I'm going to guess quite a bit.
He's tried really hard given the extraordinary circumstances.
See, there you go. They should have just replaced every headline over the last 3 years with, "What, you think you could do any better? You think this job's easy?" No, but that's why I think that a man that looks like he's most at home on one of those ride-on lawnmowers shouldn't be in a presidential tinted f***ing Jeep.
With the election looming, Four Corners spoke to people in key electorates across the country who say they are still deciding who will get their vote.
What the hell? As if this is a fair depiction of Australia. Two keyboard teachers and 2 maths tutors.
I don't think it had anything to do with the trustworthiness. It had everything to do with, hey, there's a new bloke here. He's not Malcolm Turnbull.
Also, you gotta love how one of the experts is a Liberal Party strategist, and you can tell the only reason he is a Liberal Party strategist is because the employment prospects are a little bit better these days than they are being a spokesperson for cigarette companies. Look at that man. That man should be saying, "Well, there is some suggestion that cigarettes might cause cancer, but now that Camel has this new asbestos filter, I think that the concerns are quite overblown." But now he's moved on to the biggest cigarette customer of them all, the planet. What a king.
Defying the polls, Scott Morrison pulled off a narrow election victory, winning over voters with his everyman image.
See, look at that. Proudest moment of that man's life. He won the Prime Ministership. Still has that shit-eating grin of, "Yeah, I'm not so much happy about winning the office as I am that I tricked you into the office." Rat Alpha.
What would you say Scott Morrison stands for?
I think he stands for traditional Australian values and he cares about the economy.
Isn't that amazing that the ABC over the last 6 years have been systematically rooting out anyone who's even remotely sympathetic towards the unions and replacing them with liberal good economy and being traditional. So I think they're very pro-Christmas because they like turkeys and people having enough money to buy the turkeys.
I think he really puts Australia first.
Oh my God! I paused too soon! All right, let me just break this down for you very quickly. You know how they've been scaring you over the last 3 years that China's going to do a Pearl Harbor on Darwin any second? They signed the Chafta Agreement deliberately to favour China just so the guy that signed it could get a cushy job with the CCP. Does that sound like a party that puts Australia first? No, it's not. Put UAP number 1, Liberal second.
I know he stands for his family. They're very, very important to him. He loves the Cronulla Sharks, I know that. And he is a man of faith. I know that.
Yeah, but you don't, do you? You've just been getting all of your information from the Telegraph, and the previous guy's been getting all of his information from a billboard in his electorate. Scott Morrison only likes the Cronulla Sharks so he can get that exact response from people with that bulldog frown of, yeah, well, at least he doesn't like the girl version of rugby, and, oh, what's that? He actually does, he's just pretending to. No, I'm very sure he likes man rugby. I've seen him sitting down on his ass drinking a beer there once. What a fan. Don't you think that would win the election outright? If someone could get a photo of Scott Morrison when he supported rugby union and put it next to Albo, same age, still supporting the Rabbitohs like a real fan.
But I don't really know what else he would stand up for. What Scott Morrison would say, look, this is the line in the sand. This is it.
Great. That is beautiful. That means that what you have to be focusing on this election is to get more of his eyes darting around. What other than his family does he care about? Because the answer is nothing. During the bushfires, he abandoned you to go on a 5-star holiday with his family. He cares about daiquiris more than he cares about the entire country.
The first major test of Scott Morrison's leadership was the Black Summer bushfires that began in 2019.
Jesus, that footage is scary enough for me. Imagine if you put it in front of a wounded koala. Oh, it's back!
And there's bushfires all across the country, and he's having a holiday and showing absolutely no leadership.
Yeah, and that is exactly what I would expect from the keyboard teacher. Absolute precision in my analysis, just like I demand absolute precision from 6-year-olds trying to play chopsticks.
No one denies that Prime Ministers or any public servant is entitled to leave, right?
I do.
Not on my dime!
As a public servant, given that he then took a holiday at that time when everyone was struggling, that was a really bad move in terms of image, which in politics is pretty much everything.
Dude, Caleb freaks me the out. I understand that the so-called humans have emotions, but I've never felt them personally, and I vote.
They know that, I don't hold a hose, mate, and I don't sit in the control room. That's the brave people who do that are doing that job.
That's incredible, because this man's entire existence, I don't know if you've ever said this before, but he's a marketer. I cannot think of somebody that would be worse for being a prime minister, possibly an actor, because they're kind of just trained to say whatever, but a marketer is trained to think how to spin anything. He couldn't spin his way out of that one, and that is key, because that's where you see that man at his rawest. Everything else, he's always been able to spin it his way, because that is his training. The thing that really freaks me out about Scott Morrison is it's like we haven't had a prime minister for the last 3 years, Like even with Tony Abbott, Malcolm Turnbull, yeah, they're riffraff or whatever, but they seemed like they actually did sit behind a desk, instead of only sitting behind a desk when Karl Stefanovic is watching him sit behind a desk. Other than that, he thinks his job is to look like he's doing work. It's just as much effort as doing the job. But it really feels like that, doesn't it? It feels like there has been an imposter on the throne for the last 3 years. As such, he was able to pretend, and you see it in these people's reactions, he was able to pretend like he was doing a good job during COVID. Look, everybody looks really distraught and disappointed in their Prime Minister when they actually see him in fighting action. When you're able to just pretend because it's just this little microscopic threat that nobody really knows what's going on, all of a sudden, no, I think he handled that one well. Watch.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been the greatest challenge of Scott Morrison's prime ministership.
Except, of course, looking like a human being as opposed to constantly thinking, should I hold a koala or should I shrink myself down to the size of a platypus and ride it around like a horse? Which would play better for front page? I'm sorry, why do the shots of closed restaurants have more urgent music behind them than the bushfires?
He really redeemed himself when COVID-19 started, and the way that he wasn't trying to shy away from it. He was front and centre. He wasn't afraid to front the media. He was doing...
Isn't that incredible that the average person, purely because Scott Morrison has made the job of Prime Minister look like it's pretending to be a Prime Minister, you just see the average person picking up on those cues that is obviously fumbling for things to say because they don't think about politics at all, to sound intelligent, to say, in the bushfires it wasn't a good look, but in COVID it was a good look, like he was in front of the cameras a lot, and that's what being a Prime Minister is all about. It's pretty much being a totally wild host.
So I think that was a great redeeming factor, and that then showed, okay, yes, he is a leader.
See, look at the undertext. They're all saying he did well in Corona because he looks like a leader. That's how vacuous the media is. If there's blazing smoke behind him, not a leader. 2 flags. Yeah, take him to the UN. He's ready. If you want depth about how bad Scott Morrison was during COVID, check out our video, Scovid. It rhymes with COVID, because there is a little more to managing a pandemic than wearing pants in front of a camera. That showed in detail how poor his response was in comparison to the rest of the world. New Zealand, best in the world. Australia, 9th worst in the developed world, despite the fact that we had about the same time to react to COVID, because we're islands. It's very easy to shut us down. Mark McGowan did it. Scott Morrison did not. He f***ed around for months going, oh yeah, but Jerry Harvey doesn't want me to shut down. And, now he does. But I want to go to the Sharkies game. Look at them. Every decision that the average public thinks, yeah, Scott Morrison did a great job, it's because the Labor Party was pestering them for months until they went, okay, shut up.
We got the AstraZeneca deal to manufacture it in Melbourne. Nobody knew that was going to end up causing issues where that was actually going to be phased out. So to be totally fair to him, I think his plan was AstraZeneca will be the panacea for everybody and we make it here.
And the contract, yeah, it could have gone to a few other companies, some of them that were probably much better fitted for it, but it just so happened to go to the one that Dave Sharma had a lot of shares in. I mean, look, he couldn't have done it any better, could he? You can hide how incompetent you are as soon as it starts getting into vague things like the economy and contracts, because no one's actually going to read those things. They just believe whatever is on television, and what was on television is Scott Morrison's fat jelly bean body sitting down with an Australian mask getting the jab. And so they think, well, yeah, he's doing his bit, so just lay off him. Yeah, but do you think that Albo's incapable of wearing an Australia jacket? He'll probably wear that on his second wedding. Don't you reckon Albo would win 4 terms if he got married and said during the vows, there's something you should know, sweetheart. I'm already married to 3 lovely ladies known as the 3 Sisters. Anyway, obviously we have to wrap up because we're running out of film. The point is, like and subscribe. F*** Australian, but Australia's mad. This is the end. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. And sign up to Patreon.
Please share and comment below. Comment.